start with the work session items. We have a few documents for review, and I don't think we need to discuss any of these, so we can just go ahead and sign them, correct?
Yes.
Just borrow your pen, please.
Sure.
This is HCAM TV.
Thank you. Okay, the draft minutes for May 24th and July 12th. Did everyone get a chance to look at those? And are there any comments or questions?
No comments from me.
All right, if I get a motion to approve both sets of minutes, please.
I will make that motion.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the motion carries. Hold on, sorry. All right, VS 33 Stony Brook Road. This is a request for a certificate of compliance. Step up to the table. You don't bite. Come on, sit up here. Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Good, thanks.
So we're here to seek a CSD for 33.
Yep.
We originally received an order back in 17, came back before the board for a change order back in 19. Major difference in the change order was that it pulled the house outside the buffer zone, which is the way it was constructed. We had a retaining wall at the end of the driveway here and one along here, which is as constructed. Lucas came up with a couple comments. We're missing 2 medallions at the west end of the limit of work. We have a mulch area in the front, which is sort of matching what's here at 31 or 33. A short time ago, there was a riprap slope, trap rock, along this slope of Stony Brook Road and along the driveway. Homeowners Association came back and asked them to revise it, make it lawn. So in doing so, we put some river rock against the edge of the road, match mulch for 31, and then converted that to lawn and get rid of the trap rock. So everything is somewhat built according to the orders. Septic got moved slightly to the west. And one of the comments from Lucas, besides medallions, was that hay and silt fence is still in place. Our slope of the lawn is equal to the top of the old bale. So once we take out the silt fence, we're going to leave the hay because it's mostly rotted. We're intending to just rake down that slope immediately at the silt fence and then seed it to remove that sort of drop off. So from about here to here, this slope is about anywhere from 8 inches to 14 inches high. And from here to here, we're just looking to, once we remove the silt fence, is rake it down and then seed it. No extra material required.
So seed it with
Like a
live
ryegrass.
flower mix or ryegrass?
Like a ryegrass, yeah. It's all vegetated right to that limit. This is lawn now, right along this whole edge is all lawn established. So the tree line and shade limit canopy is right through here. So we're just looking, the area we're talking about is just 2.5 feet wide. It's a very slender
Got it.
rake.
We have a picture, Dave, if you want.
So you're saying that this area down here that was converted to lawn was originally supposed to be riprap?
No, it wasn't. They did it on their own. They did riprap here. There was probably a strip that was maybe 14 feet wide.
Okay.
Homeowners Association came in and asked them to remove it. They removed it, put river rock, mulch here, and then made this all lawn, which is what is
What did it call for
Lawn.
originally?
Lawn.
So that was lawn, okay,
Yep.
so it's just converted from
river, yeah,
the
trap
riprap?
rock back to lawn the way it was supposed to be.
Okay. And can we put the two medallions in that are missing?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right, Sue, does this seem reasonable to you?
Yeah.
Any questions, comments from the commission? Okay, so, with the caveat that we put the medallions in and that the silt fence is removed and raked out as discussed.
Can we put a time frame on that?
Yeah, I think 2 weeks should be adequate.
Yeah, we plan on doing it.
Yep.
I'll call.
Yes,
Start calling tomorrow.
So if you guys approve it tonight, we won't even be signing it for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So we can verify that
Mhm.
the next meeting, that all
Mhm.
that's been
Yep.
done before we issue the COC.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay, that makes sense. Okay, if I can get a motion to close, or to approve the COC as discussed with the changes or the additions, in a second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Great,
Very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, Gately, the trails at Legacy Farms. This is a discussion and a request for plan changes under the enforcement order. Continuation.
He's not here.
He's not here. Okay. We'll hold off on that one. Wall Street Development, 10 Leonard Street. This is a request for a minor plan change.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening.
So, last time we were here, the commission asked for some quantitative calculations, which we provided through GLM.
I made copies.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I can pass that out.
So, in addition, since the calculations were made, we've proposing to even cut back the house further, so the total impact is an additional 397 square feet over the originally approved plan.
Okay.
So, we're essentially just going to make this garage, instead of a 3-car garage, it's gonna be an oversized 2-car garage.
Okay.
And other than that, we've pushed the area that's closest to the resource area away. So I'm hoping that will be acceptable.
So the house is a little further away from the resource area.
Yeah,
I
it's going to
understand
be, in this area here where the driveway was only 20 feet from the resource area, now it's going to be, add another 8, it's 64 feet
Okay.
instead of where the driveway was originally, so, and opens up a little bit better avenue for a side-loading garage as opposed to a front-loading garage, which, when you get on the site, it doesn't seem very practical to do at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Did you get a chance to look at the section 3.5, the minor projects under the regs?
I didn't look at those. I've basically, as we talked about last time, the commission has granted a waiver from the areas that, on the site for being inside the buffer zone. To me, an extra 200, 300 square feet would in my view anyways, would be considered minor. It's less than 10% of the footprint of the house and driveway impervious. That's how we would view the, as a minor modification.
So the, through the chair,
Yes, go ahead.
so the numbers are, I'm just trying to get it straight in my head from the letter.
So
How much are we having an increase of how much?
right
for
now,
the-
based on this change right now, 397 square feet. Whatever that final
Okay,
number is. yeah.
390.
It was 589, and like I said, through the course of discussions, we can make that, instead of a 3-car garage, we're going to make it a 2-car oversized garage and reduce the square footage of impervious.
Okay, so basically the difference between the approved and what
Yeah,
we're looking at right now
right,
is
380, 389, right,
additional 397
yeah.
in the buffer,
And
in the
we-
100-foot buffer.
Right, in the 100-foot buffer, yeah. And we'll be adding additional stormwater galleys to cover that impervious surface from the rooftops. The volume, the additional volume from that square footage.
All right, so Sue, if you can scroll down just a little bit there, the minor activities.
Yeah, the chair, can I ask a question? Laura?
Sure, yeah. go
So like the
ahead.
GLM, it says 589. It doesn't say 397.
Yeah, I've made a subsequent amendment since that letter. I sent that letter in, the cover letter that you have there, I sent it in today. So I've taken and reduced it further than what GLM has previously, what we previously had on the plan.
So originally it was a
Previously
3-car
had the
garage.
Proposed change. So
Right.
really, we're looking at an additional 397 square feet in the buffer.
And
Skip the
which
middle.
is the correct proposed thing we're supposed to?
Right, what you see in that cover letter right there. What's in that letter tonight is what you're seeing. So originally, we came in at the last meeting, I don't know if you were here or not.
I was here, I get it.
Oh.
I just, numbers didn't match, so
Okay.
now I'm good. Now I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so
Go back to
originally, we had a 3-car
I'm good.
garage. Okay.
that. You can go back to that. I'm just looking for numbers to match.
All right, so I'll open it up to the commission for question and comments. What Melissa and Kerry have.
So I'm looking at the...
Well, you were about to explain something.
So in
about-
this particular case, Mr. Chairman, we'd be converting impervious to vegetated surfaces, essentially in a greater portion of this area right in here. That would be considered a minor.
Yeah.
And fencing, stone walls, I don't want to go there, but
Yeah, go ahead, Jim. Yep.
So I apologize for being late. Can you just tell me what the coloring is on this?
sure. The green is the originally approved footprint that was approved on the plan. The, sort of like the purplish perimeter is what was originally proposed for the new location of the house. And what's in the red was part of a 3-car garage that now we're deleting and making it just a 2-car garage.
Okay.
So,
So what area are you now paving? Blue?
the blue is now a side-loading garage. It's the gray or the black. That area that was originally approved on the plan is now going to be eliminated.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I see.
But this portion here is still gonna be blue, right?
Yeah, from here, yeah. That,
And
I
that,
should,
and that's the 397.
And that's in,
yeah, that's included, yeah.
okay, that's incorporated into the numbers you gave us.
Right.
But the turnaround in the front of the red is not.
That gets eliminated. That's going to be now grass area, lawn area.
So the net change is
389,
the
397.
purple.
The net changes to purple, yeah,
In the blue.
and the blue, whatever that blue is coming in through.
of impervious.
Right,
area.
impervious,
So the
yeah.
net increase.
This is being added, but there's this section right here as well. right, because the driveway's gonna come down through here.
Through the chair.
So I think going back to what you were saying is the change from impervious to pervious is definitely listed under the minor. I'm not sure about the additional impervious, if that was in that list.
I feel like we asked for a new letter. Like, this is confusing to me because it's like telling 5 different stories. It would be much clearer if there was one letter that said originally approved, what proposed,
Right.
and the differences. So we're not interpreting and color coding, and because I'm still confused. But
Through the chair.
Yes,
A question just to clarify the discussion. What we're looking at is a request to increase the impervious surface area inside the 100-foot buffer by about 10% in order to make the house more sellable or sell at a higher price, not for any other reason.
We don't make decisions based on price.
No, but I do make decisions based on the
Right.
impervious nature of what's going on.
We're-
And then when we consider making adjustments, we consider, well, what's the reason?
Right,
What's
well, the
coming?
biggest reason here is that if you have been on the site, I'm sure you
Oh,
have,
yeah.
locating a driveway the way it's been approved on the plan is really not a good idea.
Then why did you propose it?
Well, we proposed, the engineer proposed it, and that's how we thought we would develop it, but sometimes when you get on a site and you do certain work and you say, that doesn't look right, you try to correct it to make it a better situation. So in my view, this lot is better suited for a side-loading garage rather than a front-loading garage with a turnaround. And so, yes, we did, by repositioning the house, we did add the third garage, because from a sales standpoint, if you want to go that point, that's more desirable. A 3-car garage is more desirable than a 2-car garage. People use the 3rd-car garage as like a storage area, but, so those are the basic reasons why we made the change, in addition to trying to give a little bit more area to the backyard and the abutter, some space between the abutter and the house. So
Right.
those are really the keys.
So increase the impervious area by 10% and move almost the entire house within the 100-foot buffer. Is that-
Well, it's actually a little bit more than 5% of impervious surface if you take
I
the
think
total.
that I calculated at 9.52495%.
Where did you get that number? We have a total impervious surface based on GLM's calculation of,
The original plan was 41.
4,198, so now we're down to 397, is that what I have for the number? Yeah, so, listen, I'm not gonna debate the numbers, it's from a practical standpoint.
we're not debating the numbers, but the numbers, we're throwing a few sets of numbers around.
Right.
Now, so, you said originally you were thinking of adding the 3-car garage, but then it was an oversized 2-car garage. But based on the conversation you just had, you mentioned 3-car garage again, so is it?
Yeah, well, no, we're eliminating it, so the red is now gonna be deleted, that was the 3rd bay.
But it was never approved, correct?
Correct.
Well, it was when you have a footprint, I could easily say this was a 3-car garage, a tandem garage. We never submitted house plans.
Right, but we're comparing original footprint to what
That's
you're
all.
requesting right now.
Correct.
So if it was never approved, it doesn't
We didn't
exist.
get into the
Okay.
type of house we were building, we just had a footprint of a building. What we put into that footprint could have been,
Yeah, I don't think it matters to
Yeah.
us whether it's a 3-car garage
all
or a
I'm
big living
trying to
room.
point out is that this configuration that was approved is not as good a configuration as what I'm proposing.
For you, yeah, I understand.
For-
Through the
for
chair,
everything.
I think it would be helpful to have a new engineering thing with the correct numbers and a new plan with the actual proposed thing, because I'm getting really confused with the red and the two driveways. And I would suggest asking applicant to come back with the actual, between your two proposals, I'm getting confused.
No, we're just following the we had been asked to overlay the proposed and the originally approved so that the commission could,
But the red isn't proposed. The dark red is not proposed. That was like your internal,
right, I've decided to do that to address what the comments were of the commission were at the last meeting.
I think it adds more confusion than clarification.
Sorry. So,
Jeff, I have another question.
Yeah.
Is the proposed house the same footprint as the approved?
it's a slightly bigger house.
It is, okay.
Yes.
Well, I thought that.
And that's why the extra square footage. I mean, if I were to take this footprint, the green, and make it a side-loading garage and reposition it in the same location as the purple, it would be the same lot, same area that we're talking about. Be almost like a swap in terms of like what was approved versus what is being proposed.
Mr. Chair, so if the garage of the, I'll call it proposed location, were the same size, i.e. 2 cars, as the garage and the original location, then the incursion into the wetland area would be less.
Right. So I
just have one other question. On the letter that GLM submitted on July 18th,
right.
it says approved plan, house 1,008 square feet, driveway 3,160 square feet, for a total of 4,168 square feet.
Within the buffer zone.
Within the buffer zone.
Right.
So, under the proposed modification, you said it's slightly larger in the
Right.
buffer zone, but,
And he calculated 589 square feet.
well, it says the approved plan was 1,008 square feet to, I think it was Jim's question, the house within the buffer zone is now 2,062 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen?
Excuse me?
That doesn't seem,
More than
that
twice.
doesn't seem slight increase to me. That seems, it's double.
Okay.
I can't imagine those numbers are correct, but Jeff, I would agree with, I think Carrie said it. This plan really is insufficient for me to act on without seeing the original plan and the modification a little more clearly. It's very muddled.
And through the chair, like, in addition, what be helpful to me is to see the breakdown of how much more in 0 to 50 and 50 to 100, to see if the additional is further.
With all due respect, I've already the commission's granted me a waiver to be in this area.
Right, but you change it, so this is changes
Correct.
to
So,
the original plan. So the waiver was under the original plan that was submitted. So we have changes to the original plan.
right,
We went through a very long process approving those plans.
right.
We had a habitat evaluation, we had, stormwater calcs that were done. So I think to, my colleague's point, we just need better clarification on what,
Okay.
so there's just been a couple inconsistencies. So you said a small increase in the footprint of the house, but it's double.
Double inside the buffer zone.
Right.
Not in terms of the
Right.
square footage
right,
of the house.
Right. No,
So-
I get that, but,
Okay, so.
but you said it was a slight increase to the house footprint within the buffer zone.
Oh, I misspoke then.
And then the total impact of the buffer zone is, based on GLM's letter, about
589.
the 589, so,
Which we then reduced to 397.
right. So I think to everyone's point, we just need,
So do you really care what the original proposal was, or do you care where the new proposal is? Because that's what I
we
think
need,
it's
we need the contrast.
Right, well, that's what I tried to do here with the color.
Well, no, I don't think we're looking for the original proposal, we're looking for the approved.
Okay.
versus the current proposal.
Yeah, and just to keep in mind that, this house is 100% in the 100-foot. This is probably 80% in the 100-foot, and this is partially in the 100-foot, and partially outside the 100-foot. So, I mean, we're already in it with all the other previous approvals that the commission has granted. I mean, I think it's...
We looked at the aggregate, though.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
We looked at the aggregate of each of the house lots. This changes the total for the entire development.
Okay.
That actually is counter.
But just another point that I wanted to make is, so this was based on a request by someone who's looking at the house?
No, this is
Okay.
my request, because as a developer, you can go to the site yourself and look at where we've excavated for the house, and then try to visualize a driveway in the front of that house. It's not, it doesn't, from my perspective, it doesn't make sense. So,
Well, I mean,
I
okay.
could go and do that.
So
If
the
you
other
want.
ones have the driveway in front of the house. Do you potentially
This one
gonna
here,
change that?
no, these here,
road?
this one here is built, and the driveway is gonna be just the way it is. This house here will likely be in the same location. We are, trying to do a different, maybe a smaller footprint for that location, and that would probably be a front-loading garage. It's not enough. This is the only lot that's conducive to a side loading, and again, it's in the best interest of the lot, to be quite honest with you, so.
Okay.
So,
So I think we just need, the numbers to be a little bit more straightforward.
so
I think.
tell me what you would like me to get you information for.
So the calculations that GLM did here on July 18th,
Yep.
if they can just provide that for the revised layout based on your July 26th, so the
Okay.
two-car versus the three-car
Right,
garage.
right.
And then what the, changes are within the 50 and 100-foot buffer zone from what was originally approved to what is proposed.
Okay.
Does that summarize what you guys are looking for?
It's not a plan, scaled plan, we can see.
Yeah.
And by the way, the 2,000 square foot is the impact. It's not, the house isn't 1,000 square foot
Right.
footprint, right?
Right.
That's within the buffer
Because it's
zone.
Buffer
moved.
zone impact.
Right, we moved it closer within the 100-foot buffer, and that's why it's increased,
Yep.
or double the size. But, I mean, essentially, the house is just only maybe 200, 300 square feet bigger total, the footprint, when you were to compare them side by side.
Yep. Thank you.
I also think, like, the driveway, I'm confused. What the difference between the approved driveway and the proposed, so if you
So-
can clarify that next time?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring you a series of things,
It could
because,
just be one laid over the other, but.
well, that's what I tried to do
Looks like right
here.
now, no, because you have this red, that's just an imaginary. It's
Okay.
not gonna get done. But like, to me, if I approve this right now, I'd be worried that the driveway would be like all this area, because I just can't differentiate, because it only says proposed dwelling, it doesn't differentiate between approved driveway and proposed driveway.
Okay,
Also, I have one more question, Richard.
sure.
Is this a setback,
Which,
this dotted line? Do you have to request, like, that corner of the house, is that?
setback to what, the rear property line?
Sidelines.
Yeah.
No. It's a 20-foot side yard, but
Okay.
we've, checked all of these things out with the building department. And we're in complete, compliance with the zoning.
Do you have that with the blue shading?
The blue is driveway, so there's no setback requirement for a driveway.
Oh, I see, okay. Yeah, okay.
All right, I'll go back and sharpen my crayons
Okay, thank you.
and get you some more information.
Make them easier to read.
When is your next meeting? You have
It's
another one in 2
the,
weeks?
August 9th, yep.
Oh, please, okay.
Yep,
I
2
hope
weeks.
hope I can get the house built by Christmas. So, can I just ask the question that we're gonna consider this a minor modification, or is that, I mean, am I barking up the wrong tree here if we
Leave it listed again.
are reducing impervious surface within the buffer zone?
I mean, I think,
We're increasing impervious surface
Well, we're changing pavement to grass area.
and grass to roof.
Well, part of that is outside the buffer zone. I mean, I'm not gonna, I can't
But
tell you.
we are increasing impervious surface within the buffer zone.
Net,
The-
yes.
the-
Yeah, and you keep saying you're decreasing.
Right, but I'm taking impervious surface that's closer to the resource area, and I'm making that grass area, which qualifies as a minor modification.
But nonetheless, on balance, there's an increase.
Within the 100-foot buffer zone, there is an increase of 300
That's right.
397 square feet.
I mean, you can make everything outside all grass and it still doesn't affect the...
Yeah, I could build a one-bedroom house too, but I mean,
I
so,
understand, but
I
what
mean,
we have to consider is...
Breaking the calculations into the 50 and the 100 might help your argument if it shows that you no longer have as much impervious area in the 50.
I don't think anything's
But-
in the 50.
Oh, well, maybe not. I mean, maybe it won't help, but.
But it might help to talk about the distance
away.
from the buffer. It
Right.
might.
Well, that's what I try to indicate here. Right now, we have a driveway that's approved to be 20 feet away from the silt fence, let's say.
But
I'm
super-
proposing to move that, or double, at least to 28 feet away, to 48 feet away. So, if you, it all depends on, yeah, you can count impervious surface, but it's, where is the impervious surface? Is it closer to the wetlands, or is it further away from the wetlands? This particular case, that area is further away from the wetlands. So, and driveway runoff is not as clean as rooftop runoff. So, I mean, it doesn't,
yeah, so this is all outside the 50-foot.
yeah,
It's between the 50 and the 100.
right.
Yes, Janine?
So you could still do a side entrance garage without making the house bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to try and build each house a little different. So, I mean, we try to make, in this particular case, you have 3 houses side by side. You don't all look the same, so you try to vary it a little bit. So, we can, yeah, make side-loading garages, 2-car garages, easy enough. I just thought, as I said, that this was the only lot that could accommodate a side-loading garage. Let's see if we can incorporate a 3-car instead of a 2-car. It's more desirable.
But to Carrie's point, why didn't you contemplate that when you did the original design? is
Well, I
the
didn't think
question.
I'd have, well, when I did the original design, I mean, I wasn't thinking that we had other things that were on the plate that needed to be talked about. But
Okay, all right, so,
So I'll come back at the next meeting, and, so my question is, we're gonna proceed as if this is a minor modification, or that's really kind of,
I don't think we can answer that without the
What's the trick?
revise.
Yeah.
I mean, if I came back with a plan next time and I said, 0 increase in impervious surface within 100-foot buffer zone, would that be considered a minor modification or a modification?
Well, obviously, yes, that
I
would
mean, it's just a question of what kind of footprint do I want for the house. If I'm trying to do something that's best interest for Wall Street as well as the resource area and for whoever's gonna buy the house. So,
I
if
think
we're- if
Wall
we're- if
Street,
we're hassling over
whoever's
for-
gonna buy the house, I don't think for the resource areas, but that's my opinion.
But-
I agree. So the trigger, do we have, sorry, can you bring up that thing on, yeah, thank you. Like, your question really is, what is the trigger to go from a minor project exemption to the next step?
right.
So I think if there's no or nominal, very little impact to the impervious, I think we could consider it.
Okay.
So I guess that's the best way to answer it.
Right, but minor nominal is subjective. And certainly the
Well, that's why-
initial, like, what did you say, 20% is not nominal?
That was 10, 9.5.
9.673.
So my question was, if I got it down to as close to 0 as I could, is that going to be considered a minor modification? That's my point.
Right.
Okay, which I can, if you give me the latitude to move this box so that I can make a different footprint, I can put a different size house in there, I could do other things. If you give me parameters, I'll come back at the next meeting and say, hey, we're at net either 0 or whatever
Yeah, I
it
mean,
is.
I think it's incumbent on you to, minimize the amount of disturbance.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you need to keep the footprint of the house the same and just shift it, that might be the benefit.
You'd be okay with that? All right, I understand. I'm not going to put you on the thing. I'll come back with as close to a net 0 impact impervious as I can, and then
Okay.
see how it goes. And quite honestly, I kind of like the coloring. You know what I mean? I spent a lot of time on that. Thanks a lot.
Okay, you're welcome.
Anna, you get on the next meeting? Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, let's move on to the new hearings. So Zhang, 8 Curtis Road, this is a request for determination of applicability for an after-the-fact driveway expansion. Good evening.
Good evening. Dan McIntyre representing the homeowner of 8 Curtis Road.
Okay.
Here it is up
I
on the
have to
big
read,
board.
before I get started, I have to read this, sorry. Thanks, Anna. Hopkins Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 26, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. at the Hopkins Senior Center, 28 Mayhew Street, to hear all persons interested in after-the-fact requests for determination of applicability, followed by Pepe Zhang for a driveway expansion. The location is 8 Curtis Road, Assessors Map U13, Block 33, Lot 0. Okay, sorry.
All right, thank you. So, Ms. Zhang purchased this home in April of this year. She had her driveway repaved, and she also had the length extended into the buffer zone. A portion of the driveway was already in the buffer zone. She had extended further into the buffer zone to get closer to the doorway into the house. And it's a slightly more level area up there to park her car than on the original driveway. I'm not sure it sounds like she was in contact with the town, but then the driveway just got paved without getting the permits.
Okay.
So we were contacted because we had designed the septic system back in 2007, I believe it was. So we had the wetlands delineated at that point, and it really hasn't changed that much. The backyard is wetlands. There's a little stream coming off of the neighbor's home into a pipe that runs across the property and into some sort of drainage system in Curtis Road. It's unclear where that exactly is, but I know the pipe exists there. The pavement that was expanded does not drain toward the wetlands. It still drains toward Curtis Road, so there's no additional pavement going toward the wetland area. It is in the buffer zone, but there is a lawn area between the new pavement and that stream channel that enters the culvert. When Lucas did their review, they walked the property in more detail and found a few other things that had been done after the fact as well. Not by Ms. Zhang, but at some time prior to her buying the house. The pool, there was an in-ground pool there that was filled in, is now lawn. And there was a fence change. The fence that went around the pool has been taken down and relocated to the sides. And there's some sort of a fire pit that was built out in the wetland area.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to the homeowner, and she's willing to get rid of that fire pit. She doesn't need it, there's no need to be out there. And we'll put some wetland dallions up along the back, so she's aware that it is wetlands there in the future, and future homeowners are aware of that. And with that, I think I can open it up to questions of the commission.
So are there two sheds, or is,
There are two sheds, there always were two sheds.
okay, because the one shed looks like it's beyond the
Right,
area
this-
where you're putting the proposed medallions.
Back in 2007, this was just a utility shed. This was the pool with the filter and everything in it. The in-ground pool was right here. So when they filled in the pool, they apparently just left the shed there.
Okay.
Dan, what does the dashed line represent?
The blue.
Which dash line? There's so many.
One by shed.
The blue
The
one.
blue one.
This one here?
Yeah.
That is the wetland delineation that we had done back in 2006 by Oxbow Associates.
Never seen a right angle on
Well, this is,
it. It's pretty good.
Russ Ellsworth lives here. There's kind of a drainage channel that goes across his backyard into this culvert. This is all lawn here. There's a kind of a long, narrow wetland between Curtis Road and Legacy Farms that was built right over here that runs between those two developments. And it seems to start right about here, I think, and goes down behind all the homes on Curtis Road. But there was a man-made ditch dug there at some point by someone, I think, to help drain the backyard up here. I'm surmising a little bit, but I think that's what happened. That's why it goes at such a man-made angle, because it was man-made.
How big's the pipe?
It's a 10-inch pipe. We back in 2006 and 7, we researched that with the DPW and records. We couldn't find out why it was installed, who installed it. There's no easement across this property for it, but it definitely exists.
Okay, so we're proposing that the fire pit be removed, the medallions be put in place along that line there that's green. The shed that's within the that's just outside the wetland there, that's going to remain.
Yeah, we're not proposing any shed changes. Those were in existence when the commission approved the septic replacement back in 2006. So we're not proposing any changes there.
Okay. Questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Russ also 6 Curtis Road, and I think I got some answers that Dan put forth. That's man-made swale is behind my house, behind 4 Curtis Road, and behind 2 Curtis Road. And that was built, that was made that way in the 50s, so they could build a house at 8 Curtis Road.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yes, that's what I've been told. I lived there for 44 years, so that's what I was told by a lot of the old neighbors that have been there longer than I have.
Okay.
And I guess that's all I can add. He's summed it up perfectly. Anything that I would have added, he's already told you. So if you have any questions of me, feel free to ask.
So 550 square feet of additional pavement was added for the driveway, and that was in previous lawn area? Is that
Yes.
correct?
That pipe is now underneath that driveway extension.
Got it.
It
The
is.
pipe is now underneath.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Questions or comments from the commission? Questions or comments from the audience? Okay, if I get a motion to to issue a negative determination of applicability with the changes discussed, the medallions installed along that green perimeter, and the fire pit to be removed.
Jim made the motion, I'll second.
All right.
Still make it then?
So Jim made the motion, Carrie Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, the motion carries.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you. Okay, Madhaven Cuddy, 22 Wood Street. This is a request for determination of applicability for an addition and a driveway. Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 26, 2022 at 7 at the Hopkinton Senior Center, 28 Mayhew Street, to hear all persons interested in a request for determination of applicability filed by Sharif sorry if I'm mispronouncing this, Madhaven Cuddy?
Yes.
To construct 2 additions, relocate the driveway and associated site work. The location is 22 Wood Street, Assessors Map U15, Block 30, Lot 0. Good evening.
Good evening. 22 Wood Street is located about, as you leave town, halfway down on the right-hand side. On the left side of the page is Wood Street. We have a shared driveway between 22 and 24. The Greenwoods at the end, who are here in the audience, and number 24. We have an existing 2-story dwelling. We're proposing a small addition to the right front as you look at it, roughly 14 by 26, and a rear addition in the back, 20 by 22. The front addition will be a 1-car garage. We're serviced by town water, town sewer. Building in addition conforms to zoning. We have a wetland at the top of the page, off property, downhill of our property. Our elevations are around 102 to 108. That wetland is probably elevation 90, to give you some sort of sense. So it sort of drops off on the sort of the left side across the street. Most of the property, almost all the property, is lawn and disturbed. We have kind of a large existing driveway. It's kind of shaded in brown on this plan. Here, this is our driveway coming in here. We're looking to remove it and replace it with the green. So addition, proposed driveway here in green, and all this is coming out. Currently, we have 2,350 square feet of impervious. By the removal, we're down to 2,265, so we're 85 square feet less in impervious. We have everything's going to be built on grade. All the material will be removed from the property as we build our foundations. So our existing is our proposed grades. So we're proposing erosion control across our driveway entrance, and then certainly around to the left and to the right of our proposed site work. We do have an old well and then serviced by town water.
So is the old well going to be abandoned or stay in place?
It's going to stay.
Yeah, that well's never been used in the 35 years I've lived there. It's always been abandoned and overcovered with wash and everything else.
Okay. Okay, I'll open it up to questions and comments from the commission.
I just have one question.
Yep.
Like, if I'm looking at it correctly, because I'm getting, so existing house, all the development, existing driveway that's staying, shared driveway, and the wetlands on the far side? Like the existing shared driveway?
Yep, here's the shared driveway here.
And it continues?
Continues right through here. And the Greenwood's home is up in here. Our existing home is here. This driveway here is coming out, shaded in brown, and replaced with this green one.
Right, but the existing shared driveway is going to stay as is?
Yes, yes.
And the wetland is on the other side?
Correct.
Left side if you're
Correct.
driving in.
Yes. The lot line kind of goes down the existing driveway.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Through the chair, could you just repeat the numbers for existing impervious versus what it will be when this plan is approved?
Existing impervious in the buffer, 2,350. with the removal, all said and done, with the new driveway and the addition inside the buffer, our impervious is 2265, or 85 less.
Okay, so I think there were a couple housekeeping items that Lucas had brought up. I don't know if you got a chance to look at those, Dave? So the 50-foot buffer zone.
Yeah, we can add that. Yeah, the limit of work is also our hay bale line, erosion control line is right at the 50. We can add the 50-foot buffer to the plan.
Okay.
Roof runoff, we weren't proposing any sort of units to handle rooftops, seeing how that the impervious was going to remain the same. Didn't know what the board's feelings were on that.
Yeah, I think typically we like to see the infiltration.
Okay.
On new construction.
Yeah, there's a I noticed a decrease in the buffer zone. What is it, an overall increase for the site? Yeah, I know it's out of our jurisdiction, but it's all running toward the wetland, right?
It is running towards the wetland. Yep, that back addition would be added. That would be greater than 85 square feet. So we can propose we can do a small unit. We'll probably do a small unit infiltration in the back.
Outside the buffer.
It would be outside the buffer, yeah. And we would do also one, we'd probably have two small ones, one for each addition, outside the buffer.
Both out, one inside and one outside?
No,
correct?
both out.
Both outside?
I think we're, this one would be definitely out. This one may be in the front right, maybe half in and half out of the buffer.
Okay.
All right, that would be right, probably in there.
Haven't we also just had, like, I shouldn't say have, like dry well, some kind of filtration, but we've had like a drip line, like if it's the roof?
Yeah, we have, I know we have approved those in the past. I mean, for a single-family home development, I guess I would defer to you guys. How do you feel about that with the extreme precipitation events? You think that sufficient to infiltrate? I mean, it's a pretty small addition, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that might suffice.
I mean, I don't know if you'd be concerned about that. Not having a gutter, and probably prefer.
I think I'd prefer probably an infiltration unit there.
Yeah.
This all slopes this way, all from downtown. So this grade comes right down to the back of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do need some sort of a riprap area, we'd still like to have that reserved. It'd be outside the buffer zone, but still would like to have that. So I think we'd try to put a unit in there.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
Through the chair, I have one more question. I guess that's approval. I'm trying to read the plan, and it's really jumbled, so maybe I'm missing it, or maybe you mentioned it. I don't see a 50-foot wetlands buffer. I think I see the edge of the wetlands. Is there any change within the 50-foot
No.
buffer line? No change of any kind?
Nope. Our erosion control highlighted in that kind of a thicker dashed line.
Yeah, the ECB line.
Yep, right here.
Yeah.
That's the 50-foot line right there. That's the limit of work. We're not going any closer to that. That's 50. We're going to add that to the plan, as you stated earlier.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And I think there was one other item about trees.
Yes, that's what I was just going to mention.
So I wasn't there when all the trees were there, but I think from what I'm gathering for evidence, I think there was a larger tree in the back outside the buffer that was cut, and I'm sensing that sensing that in this little bit right here there was one cut, and I'm sensing there's one there cut. Would you agree to that?
That's good.
There, and probably one there.
Those were shrubs.
This large one was a maple
They
tree?
were,
that is
this
right
was a maple. These were two overgrown yews that were probably 10 to 12 feet high.
Okay,
He cut them.
okay. Okay.
Because I tried to get the previous owners to cut them down because they kept overgrowing the driveway all the time. So when they went away on vacation, I cut
I've been sorely tempted.
Well, they didn't mind, but they liked their trees, so.
Well, I like trees too, but I've still been sorely tempted.
All right, so we'll get the revised plan with the 50-foot buffer zone demarcated. The infiltration basin will be outside the buffer
One out and
zone.
one partially in and out, yep.
So you'll put that in. We need to see calcs for that, or is it small enough where?
I mean, I think it would be good to size it so we know what it, what it is.
Yeah. Yep, so can we just continue this to the next meeting to get that buttoned up? And I think those were the two outstanding items.
Yep.
I think we should be set at the next meeting. So if I can just get a motion to continue this to August 9th?
There's letter comments?
Oh, sorry. Comments from the audience or abutters?
The only questions I have, because he hasn't been very forthcoming on what he's doing, I'm hearing pieces here and there and everywhere. The silt fence and barrier you're planning on putting on my side of the common drive, how far is that going down the driveway?
It's right opposite the proposed driveway, and so it looks like it's ending.
I'm saying the water runs down from Wood Street and from his property and my property, all well beyond that, where that fence ends. I'm suggesting you might want to run it a little further towards my property to reduce any silt and stuff that might get through those two areas into the driveway to get down into those wetlands.
So extend it to the north, you're suggesting?
I mean, not that I want it on my property, but I'm just looking at it from a conservation standpoint.
Yep.
The water runs down the driveway. I don't know if he has the last telephone pole on here or not.
Yeah, it's right there, yep.
It runs down.
30.
No, it should be one a little further down, I thought.
Yeah, there's one at
There's
the
one.
opposite flag, number 3.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, because the water runs down in right around in that area, coming down from Wood Street. It comes down the hill, comes in my driveway, and continues down Wood Street. Water comes in from the daycare above us, runs right through his property down into there when their detention pond overflows and runs down through our yards and floods it every year.
Okay.
2 or 3 times a year. So I mean, like I said, I don't want this going all the way up my property either, but I want to protect the land as much as I can down in there.
Yeah, so can we extend that to that second telephone pole, the ECB?
Yep.
So that'll extend down to that point, does that make sense?
I think that would help out a lot, I mean, with the erosion and stuff.
Okay, and that's temporary, once the construction's done, it's stabilized.
And they will remove that because I
that'll be
put
removed.
in miles of silt fence and barriers, and I've only been brought back twice to have it, to remove it at the end of projects. They just leave it there when they walk away, so.
Yeah, no, we require that to be removed to get the COC.
All right.
At the completion of the project.
Yeah, the other thing I heard you talking about, basically dry wells for the rain runoff from the roof line and stuff. There's an existing footing drain that was put in when they did the addition originally, probably, how long we been there? So about 38 years ago. And it has footing drains that run across the driveway over to here. And it runs out, water runs there 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So I don't know how much help these detention pits are going to be to hold water for roof runoff.
Yeah, they'll be in the ground in the vicinity of the home, so it'll be.
But I'm just saying, the footing drains are in the vicinity of the home too, and that runs water year round.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't want him spending money on something that isn't gonna do what he wanted to do, so.
Yes, Dave, you're the engineer, you can look at that.
But those are the only concerns I have from
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
We need a name and address for Hannah's.
Oh, I'm sorry, 24 Wood Street.
Thank you, Ted.
I didn't know if we got that or not.
I didn't say it, but, sorry.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience? All right, so if we can continue this to the August 9th, I can get a motion.
So moved.
And
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, you're welcome. Okay, moving along. 5 Gibbon Road, this is a request for a partial COC. Good evening.
Jared Mardus.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. My firm represents the seller.
Okay.
Who is on vacation. So they are, the Jarzinias are selling the property. In the title exam, just discovered an order of conditions from, looks like the mid-'80s or so. It looks like a lot of the surrounding lots were partially released throughout, but there was no, so this lot, I should say this property, is comprised of 2 lots. One of them, the smaller of the 2, the one highlighted, is the one that we are asking for the certificate of compliance for. The wetlands run up in the back of the lots.
This is an old, it shows the wetland up in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not even touch this lot. That's really the extent of it.
Well, the 100-foot buffer does, so that's triangle, I think is this, that you want released, is that correct?
So that is within the buffer, yeah.
Or maybe a little bit further.
I can't really tell from, oh no, this, so if I'm looking at this place, this triangle here, is that, if that is, because if that is, that's not part of the lot.
So what lot is it that you're?
So the lot is, goes all the way up, and then there's that little, so as I understand it, the wetlands are run up here. Is that right?
Yeah, from the, according to the
So
other.
that lot 20B, or 20-B is like right here.
Oh, yeah, right there.
So it doesn't, this is up here is not part of the
Yeah.
It looks like, so that line right there, yep, is this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Then it comes down and over. So what they want to release is this section in here, correct?
Just that lot, 20
So probably-
SB, I think it's
So it's
technically.
From that dimension, probably down like this, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so it might just click 100.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if we go back to that plan, so it's probably a little bit 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
So like this section right in here. So this line right here is that bottom,
I see it.
right here, see that?
Yep.
And then it kind of goes up to form that,
Mm-hmm.
what is that, a polygon?
Why is it? Good gracious.
Ted,
Yeah,
you can
this
tell
is-
us. This is high school
Is
math.
it a polygon? Any shape is a polygon.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
so, all right.
Well, why is it partial?
I think because the original order encompassed a much larger lot that was then divided to- after that. So there was partial releases for all these other lots. I shouldn't say all these other lots, but several of the other lots. So it doesn't look like it was ever completely released.
So there is one order for like the subdivision and then
Right.
certificates of compliance got issued.
It was for Springwood 1 development, which included 47 houses.
So
And
there's
this is just
one
each lot.
NOI for 47 houses?
Apparently,
And the roadway
so,
and the
yeah.
drainage.
Wow.
I was
Yeah.
so- I was hoping we
Those
could
meetings
do,
must have been short, huh?
I was really hoping, and it, according to it, this was the second of the third NOIs for the same section, so they kept expiring.
Oh, my God.
Do they have
When
a
was
sense
this,
of
the
how many of those
80s?
47 houses have gotten, or are still?
Minus
A lot of them weren't jurisdictional, so we were really hoping we could have just written a letter that said it was only for the utilities and the roadway, like a lot of the subdivisions are, but
1991
unfortunately
is
this
the
one
stamp.
specifically to
Wow.
include all the construction of the houses too.
So how, from a procedural standpoint, we can issue a...
A partial for this specific lot, that specific has
Yeah.
20B only,
Yeah, okay,
and that would help them clear the title.
okay.
But we think there might be like 10 more of these hanging out there?
The last
Could
one
be.
that was issued was in 1993, so it hasn't come up since then. But you never know.
I was still young then.
All these people's kids are in college, and gonna sell their houses next year.
Well, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
I get a feeling we'll see a whole bunch of these.
Okay, I get a motion to issue a partial COC for 5 Gibbon Road.
So moved.
That's my thing.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you
Good to
very
go.
much. Just procedurally, like, the actual paper, how does that,
So in 2 weeks,
2 weeks?
they'll sign it, and then you'll hear from me a few days after that.
Great.
And a small payment.
Can I bill it to the client?
I just took the time.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Okay, Dugan, this is 5 Ledgestone Drive, a request for a COC. Are we expecting anyone for
I don't
this one?
think they responded when we sent them the comment letters for Lucas and told them that the hearing was tonight.
All right, so I guess we'll continue this one until next meeting.
And we can let them know that someone needs to be here to answer questions.
So,
Lucas had a pretty extensive list of comments on this one.
yeah, so those need to be addressed. We can't address them unless they respond, right?
Yeah, we'd just be making assumptions. So we'll reach back out.
Yeah, Sue, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then a COC for 22 Saddle Hill Road, Brendan Properties. No one's here for this one either.
Say date, oh no, that's not.
Oh, no, that's not it.
30, that's really quick.
That is?
I didn't see, did Lucas have comments on this one, Hannah?
Yeah, there was a few.
Okay.
We're on 22 settlement?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so we... Unable to verify the wildflower area. No erosion, approximately 1/3 is well established. Wildflower remaining here is primary mix of grass, however, not currently well established. May necessary receive additional seeding. 6 of the 7 on the pheno markers. It's a pheno marker.
So what they were using for PIDs.
Oh, is that what it was? Doesn't look like it's in the legend. Okay, at any rate, I think they need to be here to respond to the questions that Lucas brought up, so we'll continue this one.
Okay.
Yeah, reach out.
What's that?
Yes.
So looking at the Google Drive, there was a request for COC back in December, is that?
They asked us not to act on it because the grass wasn't growing, so
Okay.
they reached out a few weeks ago.
All right, to be
Lucas
fair, I
just
agree.
did
Okay.
the review.
Well, it can't. Thank you.
Okay, Gateway Trails at Legacy Farms, this is a request for a plan change discussion under the enforcement order. Good evening.
Peter Venus, Engineering Design. So I was here 4 weeks ago, and there was apparently some items that I had addressed in emails, but I just thought I would put together a kind of an outline of those answers that we had given various times. So that's kind of what that written response is here. And then when I was here before you last week, it was presenting a plan similar to this regarding release of additional units, and that's what the second document is a copy of this plan that's updated, and then a request to consider those other units that we had discussed. So in the original letter, or request, it suggested that we do an interim as-built. So this plan reflects that interim as-built. The dark shaded units are units that are actually conveyed out. So we're trying to give you like an illustration of where we're at. So for example, this would be a conveyed out unit. This is one next to it. This is an area that's permanently restored now. This one isn't. Just so you can get a flare.
So those are built in compliance.
What is conveyed out?
Yeah.
They've had a transaction, so a unit owner is in that unit.
Okay.
They may not live there yet, but they own it.
Okay.
And then, for example, this is an area where we're in Phase 2, but these units are still under construction, and we don't have a permanently stabilized area there. So basically what it is, it's either crushed stone or wood chips that are down. Pretty much when you drive through trails, you'll always find something covering the ground, because we don't leave any of the ground open, other than areas where we're actively excavating materials. So this plan is trying to do both of those things, and then show you kind of where we're at with the project. So there's about 20 units still to build here in phases 1, 2, and 3. 1 is basically complete. 2, we still have some units that are in phase 2 that are under construction. And now we're faced with a unique problem at trails, since last year was such a wet year, and this year is such a dry year, that we have actually areas that we've hydroseeded and used what we call a Eco-Aegis. It's a proprietary product, but you'll know it as a bonded fiber. So basically, we add the bonded fiber to the hydroseed with tackifier, and that's on the ground. So you're seeing that area stable, because it's not moving anywhere, even when we've had some of these crazy rains. And we have grass growing, but not the way we want it to grow, because we just don't have any rain. And that's on a
where's that
irrigated area.
located?
That's this slope right here. So I've shown it because it's, we're there. If we had a few extra days where we could get a little bit of rain, it would be good. So what we are doing, this is our Detention Basin 2, which is, well, I gave you a picture of that. That was also part of that update that was done in an email to say that, we've done the work, but there wasn't a formal response, so that's why I'm giving you that this evening. So that basin was expanded and cleaned out, and you can see the water quality is substantially, improved. You can actually see the bottom. But that basin was originally designed to be an infiltration basin, and it really doesn't infiltrate. It's actually holding water. It does percolate, but very, very slowly. We didn't design this project. Vin Gately hired someone to do that. We've been helping him try to build this project the way those design plans were laid out, and we've had to make modifications along the way. That basin in particular, we've expanded, and we've basically stoned the bottom so that it won't become an erodible surface. It does infiltrate, but very slowly, and there's plenty of holding capacity within the basin, so even if we were to have some precipitation, we'd be holding that water before we discharge. because the town has adopted a no irrigation policy at the moment, what I am going to look at is trying to harvest some of that water. We have homeowners that have gardens and have plant material that they put in, and there's no reason why we can't be, pumping that water and using it in those isolated areas that need to be attended to. And that's what's also outlined in that letter. I think there were two other items. I'm just trying to go back from memory, and I didn't grab my copy. If you give me 1 minute, I'll get my copy. Trying to hit on all the topics that I wrote there.
Did you check with Ashland?
Yeah, they lifted the...
They lifted it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just for the
So the other item that we talked about, or it was discussed, and that's what these other pictures are for, was the lagoon liner at the town of Ashland. So, and I know you folks have probably seen some correspondence on that, so there's just a series of photos. I'm sorry I doubled them up, but to just describe them to you, engineering design did hire a contractor. We excavated some test holes. We had to do them by hand because you can't get in there with a machine. So we dug the hole. There's a picture of the hole. We looked at the ground conditions that were there. During the time when we were doing the excavation work, we actually had water coming into the hole. We put in a standpipe and put stone around that so we could permanently monitor it. And that's this area right here, just so you know where we are. And the area has a saturated soil condition. That was originally in a 26-foot cut. So if you went back to the original design, or the hillside that was here, there was a 26-foot elevation change from pre-existing to the current condition. And they didn't put any interceptors in, so there was nothing done to control groundwater. And when you dug the pit, you found modeling. And when we find modeling in the soil condition, it doesn't just happen in a year, it doesn't happen in 2 years. This is something that happens over
So when you're saying they did the excavation, who are you referring to?
Whoever built the basin, the lagoons for the town of Ashland.
Okay.
All I'm getting at is that it's been attributed to trails that somehow they caused damage here. And that's been in correspondence and been discussions, and Kim's emails are implying that there's a problem that we've created.
Well, because the runoff's coming from the trail's property.
That's the belief. But we don't have any water discharging here. We actually went one step further and we eliminated. So every roof drain that was up in this area, they've all been eliminated. They all get carried away. So there's no surface water at all from our section of the site that goes here. And we did that we looked at it in pre-conditions and then post-conditions from that activity, and nothing's changed. So we believe, and we've presented that to Ashland, and then it's incumbent upon Ashland to come back and explain why. The liner was never keyed into the soil. The liner was just laying on the ground when you go down there, and the detail called for it to be keyed in. The original design didn't call for any interceptors. Again, it was a 26-foot cut. So again, from our perspective, it just doesn't make a lot of sense that we're the problem for that, and it exists because I think there was a very extreme high amount of rainfall in 2021. We all experienced it, and this area also experienced it. And now it's had some ramifications from it because you can see the slump in the liner. So all I was doing was all these things had been answered in different forms, but never in one place. So I gave you that this evening so I could close out what was perceived as open items, but they really weren't open still. And we've done that in concert with Ashland, so there's nothing that I've told you tonight that they're not aware of and they haven't seen. It was actually, if you recall, there was that 162-page document that I provided you. It was in that. And so that closed out what I felt was the open items. So then, what I had presented 2 weeks ago was, or excuse me, a month ago, because 2 weeks ago I was going to be here again, and it was inappropriate to come back because they didn't have advanced enough work on the 4 units that the commission did release. So right now we have no other units released. We've completed all of the work, and now we're asking for the commission to release additional units. And I've documented that in the sequence, and it's the same sequence you've seen before, except I'm always trying to do the 28 days. So we tell you in advance what we're going to do for the next 4 weeks. And the idea here would be to do these units in sequence, so it would be the first duplex and the second duplex, because we're taking fill from one and we're bringing it to the other. and then we would advance to these singles, and those singles would then bring that fill down to this area. So we're not stockpiling anymore. We just want to take soil as we develop it and then repurpose it so that it's sequestered and we're done. And this 28-day would put me to the end of August, and there'll be, there's 20 units today, there'll be 11 units left. And then I would give you another 28-day so that by the end of September, I'd be down to 1 or 2 units left in Phase 3. The last piece, and again, if you're inclined to let me go down the rabbit hole further, I can show you what the notice of intent we're going to file with you is. But if you don't want to go there, I'll just file it, and I'll have my meetings with everyone, and I can explain further on the project. But we're trying to find ways to improve what's happening here.
Okay. Yeah, we can look at the notice of intent when it's filed.
Very good. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so Anna and Sue, so Ashland has lifted the cease and desist on which units?
The 8, can you point out?
Yeah, actually, they've lifted them on the project. Honestly, the way I had understood it was they understand that they shouldn't be restricting us on the project any longer.
So my notes from the last meeting said Becca said that they released the 8 that you requested in April.
Okay, well then that was the 4 and the 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's fine, then I'll go back to them and ask them to lift again, because the way I had understood it was they had, maybe it was part of the debate, was that they shouldn't be restricting us from being able to go forward with the project. But I have no problem with just doing the other 4 this time, and I'll see you 2 weeks.
Yeah, why don't we do that, because I want to make sure we're consistent with what the town of Ashland is allowing, since, they're the benefactor of, a lot of the issues that have happened here. So let's release, if it's a,
Well, can I ask a couple
70 through
questions?
70.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sure, I'm just saying, the units, just, it's 70, 72, 74, 76. Those are.
The basin, this basin,
Yes, that's this located here, Birkdale.
is that part of the amended notice of intent?
There'll be discussion regarding with that.
Calculations as far as?
Yes.
Okay, so that's in the, so when is you said it's ready, it hasn't been submitted yet?
No, we have to go through, so the way this is going to work, if you'll allow me just to show, but I won't be going much further, I'm just going to, because I need you to understand why. Yeah, just briefly. I will, very briefly. Okay. So there's activities that are going to occur in Hopkinton and Ashland, and some of the land is owned by Ashland, and some of the land is owned by us. So there's never really been any formal notices for any of the work that's actually happened down here, and it has happened. It's just been done in public ways, and it was just done with municipal funds, either Ashland or Hopkinton, and no one's gone to a commission for authority to do that. So we're trying to correct some of those things. So these are the 2 things. It just happens in 2 towns, and 2 property owners are involved. So I can't submit it without town manager and Ashland signing on to it. So we agreed that we would submit that to them at the end of this month, and I expect to be able to file it, so we'd make your next meeting sequence probably in the latter part of September.
So that doesn't address your question though, right?
Well, kind of. At the last meeting, one of the reasons that we only released 4, not all 8, is because
You were concerned that we wouldn't file the notice.
we were concerned that the notice wouldn't be filed. It was one of the things on the checklist.
But I can assure you it is.
So that's why I was asking
Got it.
Okay.
the question, because we felt like that was
Okay.
the leverage that we had to ensure that, the amended.
There's a lot more leverage
actually
than
gets-
just that, so at this point, trust me.
Yeah, so, are there any other questions from commission members?
My only question is, I would love to have a copy of this letter that I could really read when there's not conversation going in the background, so I can't read it.
I'll email it then. I made it as PDFs, I'm sorry.
We didn't get it.
I was bringing it to the meeting tonight to discuss it, so I can email it. As soon as I return home, I can email it.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Okay.
we like to get these in advance, so we're not doing it on the fly during the meeting.
I understand. This has been in various forms in emails, unfortunately, and I know that you're picking up from here, and I'm sorry for that.
So do you think it's okay to release those 4?
So the request is to release the remaining 4.
Well, the request was to
This
release
has been
those 4.
since April
notice.
4th. If you want, I can show you the previous plan. April 4 was the one dated that showed those 8
But Ashland
units.
hasn't released these single family units down here, so they're just those.
And neither have we.
And neither have we.
That's right. Up to this point, staff was releasing all of the units. It was at the last meeting that I came to you to present the fact that we were looking for those 8, and at that night, you elected to do 4.
You know, the other thing about the amended notice of intent is just, does it change anything on the site? Is there any space that needs to be
I can
used?
tell
Is
you
there
one
any-
other thing that we're doing is we looked at the sidewalks that haven't been built here. We're going to use pervious pavement or pervious concrete, one or the other. We haven't figured out which is the best alternative, but we're going to make that change. We've tried to institute as many changes as we can here. As you know, we didn't design this project, so I've been trying to pick up the pieces and try to make this work.
No, I get that. But, you know, Vin Gately is the
He's
builder,
ultimately
so
the
he's-
responsible
you know,
party.
You represent him, he's the responsible
Yes, sir.
party.
Yep. I mean, he hired someone to do this project, which I think he thought was doing it properly as well.
Oh, we get it.
Okay.
So when is the amended NOI going to be filed?
It will be in both towns' hands, I would say, on Monday at this point. It's with the attorney right now for Vin Gately, so I'm just saying that, you know, counsel, I reached out to him today to say, you know, where are you at for your review?
So it's prepared,
Prepared.
and final review being reviewed by the attorney?
Representing Mr. Gately, and then it'll go to the towns, yes.
So
I would
it'll
say
be
to you that,
filed for the next meeting, you think?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, you'll have it. I don't see why it wouldn't. We can, honestly, the notice can be filed for the portions of work that are we control. If Ashland elected not to sign, we would still be able to file.
And then there's how many left
There's
for this
20
last
in phases 3, if you will. And then there's a phase 4, which we've also looked at how can we improve that. And that's the one we can make the most impact because nothing's there yet.
Where's phase 4?
It's, I'll get my orientation right here. It's going to be here, where I am.
Okay.
So you're going to come, right, so you're going to come in off of Pulte. So do you know the first Pulte road?
Yeah.
As you pass us, so you'll go in and take your first left. And that's already
So you
been...
go in the Pulte development, take a left?
Take a left, right, and if you went down there now, you'd see that there's a dead end.
Yeah.
You'll cross, there's 2 homes there, you're gonna cross between 2 homes and you go
Got
into
it,
the
okay, so how many units are going back there, approximately?
I wanna say 34, I'm pretty sure. That brings us to 175. 180 was the original approval, and we reduced it to 175.
So if changes need to be made to the basins, the sidewalks are proposed, they're not in yet, right?
That's right. That's again, an area where we can make a change. That's why I said I'm trying my best to do everything I can to make improvements. So the things that we have changed, you know, we did create a wetland system here. We're proposing to create a wetland system here. There's going to be a new wetland system created up here. Those are all things that weren't part of the original plan.
And those will be included in the amended NOI?
NOI, yes, sir, that's right. So
like
those
the
are all,
homes there.
oh, and the other thing that we did was this whole system
Because if they
here.
build all these houses,
This was all improved too from what it was originally going to be.
then what's the motivation to actually implement the changes? I guess move on to phase 4, but
Yeah, we'd have to, right?
you know what I mean?
We'd have to phase them in prior to...
I can assure you this, if you've been to the site, you realize this is not an area suitable to be anything to mitigate a stormwater impact.
I think I'm okay with the 4, the 2 duplexes, if the other commission members are okay with that.
Thank you.
And then pending discussion with Ashland on the release of the other single-family units, and, you know, subject to this filing of the amended NOI, we'll hold off on the those other ones that you're requesting at this point.
They're like in the same sequence as you folks, so they meet Mondays and you meet Tuesdays. So I'll just go to them 2 weeks from yesterday and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, does that make sense, everyone?
And by then you'll have the notice and you'll see where we're proposing to make these improvements.
All right, all right, let's just take a vote on this, just for, I'm not sure we need to, but just to memorialize it. So if I can get a motion to approve the release of the 4 units, the 2 duplexes. What units are they, Mr. Demus?
Yes,
Just
it's
for the record.
70, in the order it's going to go in, it's 76, 74, 72, 70 is
Okay.
what we're working from constructed to unconstructed.
All right, so if I can get a motion to approve the release of those 4 units from the cease and desist for the trails to move forward with construction.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Thank you very much.
Okay, yep, thank you. We'll see you at the next meeting.
So Peter, if you could just email that plan and all that information.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any public forum requests, Sue?
No.
Nope.
Do we do number 6?
That one got postponed, actually.
So you generally have regular hours and you're trying to do two tasks at the same time?
I'm typically in on Tuesdays, but I'm going away for a couple weeks, starting next week.
All right, so.
But Anna's always in.
All right, but through Friday I could.
But
catch
I'm working, and I'm going to be checking email that whole time,
So
so.
on your vacation, okay, very
Yep.
good, then, but perfect.
Yep.
Anna, thank you.
Okay, thank you,
I
Peter.
appreciate it, thank you, good night.
All right.
Anna moved in, that's her new address, the town hall.
Anna's the best.
Yeah, so number 6, Carrie, that was a good catch. They just agreed to pay the fee, so they're not coming before us to
Right.
request it to be waived. So Sue had a
They
conversation.
disagreed with paying the fees?
They agreed, yeah, Sue had a conversation with them.
Yep.
So. Okay, if I can get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Oh, wait, we have.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Minutes?
We have the minutes from,
Oh, we did? Oh, we did before that. yeah.
let's see, draft minutes from May 24th
Yeah.
and July 12th. Huh? We already did them?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, we
I'm
did.
sorry.
No problem.
This-
It's just so efficient.
We were so efficient
I
while
know.
everybody was signing.
We're so fast that Sue didn't even realize we did
Not used to it.
it. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Second and third, guys.
Oh, this was the.